I'm here testing out a brand new kit. As you can see, it's a Pearl President kit, one of the reissues. And admittedly, I'm a little bit late to the Pearl 75th anniversary party when they reissued the President series of drums, but hopefully it's a case of better late than never. And to give you a little bit of background in case you're not familiar with the whole situation, so Pearl celebrated their 75th anniversary back in, I think, 2021, I believe. And so to celebrate, they reissued the President series drums, which was their first, back in the day, their first pro level Pearl branded drums. Before that, I think everybody knows, Pearl started out in 1946. At first they were manufacturing music stands, and then by the early 50s went into drums. But they were manufacturing stencil kits, as they're known, because they're basically, so Pearl would make drums and then they'd be marketed and sold under all kinds of different brand names. So thus the stencil, you kind of just stenciled in names. But they, after doing that for a while, they went and started to manufacture the President series, and that was sold under the Pearl name. And so that was their first foray into professional level drums. And so as it goes, I've never had one of those original like 60s or 70s, I guess, vintage kits, but I've seen them and I've always been kind of interested. I've been a Pearl fan for a very long time, been playing Pearl drums of one kind or another for a really long time. And so I think the President, the originals are pretty cool. If you see, I caught one in a music store not that long ago and did a quick little run through video on that one. But anyway, this is a reissue. They are true in a sense to the original line in that they are made with Luan wood drum shells, as you can see in there. Luan is a in the mahogany family, and it's like in the softest category of wood in the mahogany family. So so there's that. But these are Luan shells with, of course, manufactured to Pearl's modern specifications and methods. And I'm sure nothing like the originals, although I'm told that the original President series, in terms of the drums themselves, they were decent drums. They were good drums. The hardware was where they kind of fell a little bit short, things falling off. But Pearl came back and did sort of a tribute to the original style with these battleship lugs that they call them. And I'll tell you one thing, in terms of the hoops, the lugs, I was putting this kit together, and this thing is solid. It's 100% a modern drum kit. They have the old school Pearl lettering logo on the drums, which I think is a really cool touch. They have this base mounted holder for the ride cymbal arm. I did try that when I set these up. It just wasn't working for me. So I went back to the old stand, ride on the stand deal. I just couldn't get it positioned. But in terms of the hardware itself, I mean, it was solid and stayed in there. I just couldn't get it to where I really liked it. But anyway, here it is. It's pretty sweet. And I also have one of the Pearl. So when they did their 75th, they also re-released President Series snare drums. They've got the President Series Deluxe, which is what these drums are, the drum kit. But the snare drum is the Phenolic. And I hope I'm pronouncing that right, because honestly, I have no clue really how to pronounce that, because I've never had one of these type of drums before. But Phenolic is just the material that's used to make the drum. It's the shell. You can see it's super dark and really cool. So they made the snare drums, and they have some kits too in the phenolic shells. I don't have the drum kit, but I do have one of the snare drums that came with the with those shells, and you can see it's got super hoops, the old school Pearl badging on the side again, and then it also came with this very nice old school type snare drum case with the Pearl lettering on there. And shout out to the good folks at Pearl, because like I said, I kind of came late to this whole President reissue thing. And at first when I purchased this snare drum, did not come with a case. The case was apparently lost in the ravages of, I don't know, last 4 or 5 years, whenever these kind of first came out. But the good folks at Pearl hooked me up. I made a request to see if there were any cases lying around, and boom, like magic, I got one sent to my house. So it just kind of complements that old school vibe really nicely. So anyway, you can see the drums have, they don't come with mounts or tom arms. I did go with the old school kind of pipe style Pearl tom holders, and I even went with an ISS mount on these toms, as opposed to the even more modern ones. I don't know, I had an old Prestige Session Elite SLX kit with the ISS, a earlier generation than this. I mean, these mounts are brand new, but you know, older style anyway. But anyway, I went, you know, kind of retro and did the ISS, and so far so good. They're holding up, very sturdy. And there she is. Let's do a little bit of testing. All right, so there you have it. A few other things I should have mentioned before. The cool thing is, so these also have old school tone control knobs, and these things are beefy. These aren't like again, I mean, this whole thing's updated, keep saying it, but everything is totally modern. These knobs are beefy and solid. And for whoever's wondering, I don't have any of the mufflers on the heads. Speaking of the heads, so these come with, they do come with Remo black dots, but they come with the overseas made ones. So I did change, these are the Remo USA black dots, so I changed that. I have the original resonant heads on all the toms. Same thing for the bass batter. Comes with the black dot overseas manufacturer, but I put a USA Power Stroke P3 dot batter on the bass. The snare comes stock with a USA remote ambassador. This again is wide open, no tone control, no gels of any kind on any of these drums. They sound pretty cool, I think. I like it. I like the kit very much. I'm going to be taking this out and gigging it around. Just another FYI, the bass drums do not come, they come with an intact resonant head, no port. I put the port in there to make the sound guys happier with me, but if you want that like old school sound, if you're playing one of these, you can certainly keep the front head intact, like that old school style, and get that sound. Also comes with felt, like the old school felt strip, but I don't have that here either. I do have a muffle pillow inside, but that's about it. But anyway, there it is. Pearl President. Can't wait to gig out with this kit. I am liking it. Oh, and the finish, in case you're wondering, this is the Ocean Ripple. They have several different finishes, and I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure these are still, pretty readily available. Like I said, they've been out for a little bit. I don't know what Pearl's plans are. They're going to keep the President series around, expand it, whatever. But there you go. Pearl President reissue. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you later.